This tit for tat back and forth between China and the United States, how serious is this for the markets? I mean, we can see now futures look lackluster to go into June. Is this a problem?
Good morning, Contessa. Look, I do think the market should pay attention here to what we've always known about this relationship, and that is it is a long-term strategic competition. And as I've said before, a 90-day speed date to try and solve some of these very major contentious issues was not going to happen anyway. So I think markets may have forgotten about some of those issues and zeroed in on just the trade and just the tariffs over the last several months. But as we are seeing, a lot of the problems in the relationship that define this bilateral relationship is still there. And I do think we are back in a situation, Contessa, where there are some real difficulties with respect to moving forward beyond this point, because I think the tit for tat cycle that we are launching on now will probably play itself out for the next 2 months, which is the balance of those 90 days that we have to strike some sort of deal so that tariffs don't spring back to that outrageous level of 145 and 125%.
The director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, was on ABC, also on the Sunday show, saying that the administration has been laser focused on this. What else needs to happen in order for this to be done and set aside so that there is some certainty and surety of what's coming down the pike?
Well, I think Secretary Besant is correct here, Contessa. I think we're probably at a point where a leader-to-leader call is needed, but I don't think that leader-to-leader call will solve the problems. What it will do, one hopes, is to allow for the Chinese and the U.S. side to meet in what they decided would be a Geneva mechanism, a dialogue mechanism to start to systematically work through some of these problems and agree to an additional freeze over a period of time. But I think to set up a belief that 90 days will solve all problems for the U.S. China relationship, that's not realistic.
It does seem like there's a disconnect between the high-level talks that the White House wants and what maybe the Chinese party wants. I want to ask you about your op-ed on CNBC.com about Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang saying that the AI policy toward China has been a complete failure.
Yeah, look, the whole point of that op-ed is to try and level set what the original architects of this policy was trying to do. And that was not to protect market share for any one company or profits for any one country. It was really about making sure that when China got this technology, because there's no way in the world you're going to stop a country as smart, as resource rich as China from developing their own capability. It was their plan, which they began in 2015 or so, to gain some sort of sovereign capability here. But the whole point was to make sure that they did it, that they did not use diffusion to take U.S. technology to get it done, and that it would not be used on the battlefield to harm U.S. soldiers. We don't want to be killed with our own stuff. And so we can argue other efficacies of the policy, but the real design was about making sure that the Chinese would develop this on their own, not that they would never develop it. That was the base of this op-ed.
It's a really fascinating read. Dewardric McNeal, thank you for sharing part of it with us, high-level stuff. You can read more of that on CNBC.com.